We have a great session planned for you. I'd like to begin by introducing Pegah Garusi, Solutions Architect at Densify. She specializes in consulting and architecting solutions to help customers solve complex technical problems and has led many integrations between DevOps, cloud computing, and virtualization technologies for clientele from diverse sectors. Today's session will be recorded and you will receive a link to the recording via email following the event. I'd like to remind everyone to please submit your questions in the chat below. We also have here with us today Amit Jowhary, Senior Director, Technical Services at Densify, and he will be keeping an eye out on the chat and do his best to answer any questions throughout the session. So let's get started and take it away, Pegah.
Thank you, Daniela. Okay, so let me start. So today I'm going to talk about the recommendations delivery service. On the agenda today, we have, first we're going to talk about how do Densify customers typically consume our recommendations. We'll also talk about the 3 different ways of getting the recommendations from Densify. Since our the recommendations delivery service is based on subscriptions, we'll talk about what are the benefits of using subscriptions when you're working with integrations. I'll also go over a few examples of different ways you can create a subscription. And we'll talk about what is the next step if you are interested in using this service and what steps you should take going forward. So first, let's talk about what are the typical ways of our customers are using our Densify recommendations. I guess the most common ways is typically we have a capacity team that works closely with Densify. They log into Densify and they do different filtering and to capture the recommendations that they would like to action on. And they further notify the app owners on those recommendations that should be actioned. So if they will let them know if there are any optimization opportunities, savings opportunities, as well as if their applications are at risk. Now, sometimes we find that customers do not always want to log into Densify as a third-party tool for them. They don't want to have to work with that tool every day. Instead, they still want to use Densify's recommendations, but they would like these recommendations to appear within the tools that they're currently using on a day-to-day basis. So this could be things like a customer portal where everyone has already access to, or tools like Slack or Teams. And these tools are widely used within their company already. So they don't need to provide additional access to Densify to their app owners so that to get these recommendations. So instead, what we do in those cases, we extract the Densify recommendations and we place them on some kind of repository or data lake or an S3 bucket. And customer will then use these recommendations to make them visible to their app owners within their existing tools. Now, if we talk about the 3 ways you can pull the recommendations from Densify, the most obvious choice is the Densify UI. Pretty much all customers use the Densify UI. They log in. We have various filters available, so you can filter using your tags, whether you're looking at optimization, savings opportunities, or if you're interested in your applications that are at risk, search by different business units, application, etc. And once you have filtered down your list of recommendations, you can then click a button to export these recommendations, and then you can send them to whoever needs to have visibility into those recommendations. Now, let's be honest, if this is a task that you're trying to do periodically, like every day, it's not ideal. Nobody wants to keep logging into a tool every day to pull the same recommendations. So if you're looking for something more automated, we find that the Densify API is very handy tool. We have many customers using the Densify API already. to pull recommendations from Densify and to do integrations. However, this will require some API knowledge, someone who can write code, someone who has also the domain, the Densify domain awareness, so that they can know exactly what type of recommendations to pull, how to parse the answers, etc. Now, if you are looking for something a little bit more flexible, we also have the subscription API, which is similar to the API. The difference is it allows a lot of flexibility in searching and filtering down the list of recommendations that you're looking for. So if you want to filter by specific owner or application or types of recommendations, this is where it's beneficial to use the subscription API, because the regular API will simply provide the recommendations for everything, whereas a subscription allows you to do more filtering and subscribing to a certain type of recommendation. So today I'm going to concentrate on the subscription API and how we, the services team, utilize the subscription API to provide these recommendations to you in the way that you're interested in receiving them. But first, I'm going to talk about specific benefits of using the subscription. First of all, the most beneficial way is that you can automate recommendations so that they can be sent to your capacity team or your account owners directly. Nobody needs to log in to a tool and extract recommendations and then have them manually sent. You can subscribe to this. Then you can receive only the recommendations that you're interested in. For example, here I'm showing where you can receive an email with only AWS upsizing recommendations. You can also add or remove columns that are interested to you, including tags that you're using within your organization. And also you can rename your columns to your liking. Many times we have had requests from customers, oh, can you add a certain column or remove this column? We don't use it. Or, you know, we have our own tags. Can you add these tags to our reports? Yes, this is why the subscription makes it very easy to customize the reports to the way you would like to receive them. I'll go over a few examples. So for example, we could have an organization where they would like to receive daily emails of all their Azure upsizing recommendations and have them sent to the CapOps team. Now, perhaps the same organization would also receive weekly emails of all their AWS downsizing, modernize, and terminate recommendations, but only the ones that have savings of over $100 a month, because smaller recommendations with $10, $20 savings may not be worth the effort. So they would like to specify the dollar amount that's associated with these recommendations. And these emails will go to John and Bob, right? You could also do daily emails, for example, GCP recommendations, and have these recommendations sent to the associated account distribution list. So for example, rather than sending all my recommendations to a single team or a single person, I will send recommendations for each account to the actual account owner. And lastly, if you are interested in doing more of an automation and integration within your tools, you could ask for a daily upload of all your AWS, Azure, and GCP recommendations, perhaps into an S3 bucket. We could split these recommendations onto 3 different CSV files, or maybe combine them, whichever way you like. These are just examples. They're not only what is possible, it's just to show you the amount of flexibility that exists in configuring these subscriptions. So what's next? What should you do if you're interested in this service? Well, first of all, you should contact your account executive or the Densify resource that you're closely working with, just to let them know that you're interested and you want to set this up. What will happen next, we'll schedule a short meeting to define a few items. One is who needs to receive these recommendations, what needs to be sent, and when and the frequency that they need to receive these recommendations. So we'll work with you on completing a form such as this one, which will go over what kind of platform for the recommendations are you interested in exporting? What types of recommendations do you want to export? Are there any savings associated with these recommendations? Are you interested in all savings? Any effort? Typically for automation, we would like to concentrate on low and very low effort. But if it's manual, we may want to look at all efforts. Any data quality to make sure that you have all the data that you need to get a correct, an optimal recommendation. You can also further filter your recommendations by tags. Any of the tags, not only the ones that are listed here, these are just a few examples. If you have any custom tags, we could also filter by those as well. And also, what would be the recipient or the distribution of these recommendations? You can also further define the output format, whether you want everything within a single file, multiple files, split them by accounts, etc. And once we have gone over this form with you, Densify will go and set it up for you.
Pegah, there's a question that's been asked, like, does Densify have to set this up, or is it something that a user can set up themselves with some Densify guidance?
Yes, absolutely. So if it's something that the company wants to go and set it up themselves, then absolutely you can do it. We can provide examples of how you can create these subscriptions. And these subscriptions essentially will just be a simple API call. So once you have created the subscription, this can be all defined within a YAML file. And once we show you how you can create these YAML files and create the subscription. And that will give you just an API call that you can just make yourself to do any sort of integrations that you would like with these API calls.
Pegah, there's a quick follow-up. Are there any special tools required? Like if a customer wants to do this on their system, their laptop, are there any special programs they require to do this?
We do have a utility that's more interactive available if you're not familiar with the YAML format and you would more like a utility to ask you questions and you just answer the questions. That is something that we can train your resources on how to use them, and that will essentially create the subscription for you. It's just a subscription client that you can use for managing your subscription. Out of the box, we don't distribute it. We are the ones kind of creating the service for you. But if it's something that you would like to use yourselves and manage your subscriptions yourself, then absolutely we can schedule some training between your resources and us, and we can show you how to utilize the subscription API.